everybody, this is Heather Sides. I'm an independent demonstrator with Stampin' Up! In Spokane, Washington. I come to you every Wednesday night with 3 projects, usually cards, sometimes something else. And tonight is the night. I've got 3 fun projects for you. Just a couple things I want to remind you about before we get going. It is Celebration right now. That's a big campaign we do every year, a promotion that we do every year. And you can get rewarded with some amazing free gifts from Stampin' Up! Everything from packs of paper to stamp sets, some really neat stuff for every $50 that you spend. And there is no limit to how many of these gifts you can earn. So if you are interested in checking that out, you can go to my website and you'll see my website address here in just a minute. And I would love to earn your business. You can go to my website, check it out, see what the gifts are, and you can order directly from my online store there. So I want to remind you that's going on. That'll be going on through February. But the gifts are while supplies last. So sometimes some of the items are really hot items. Everybody loves them and they sell out really, really fast. Not sell because they're gifts, but you know what I mean. They're gone, they're gone. So definitely something you want to look into soon if you can. So while I'm giving everybody just a couple of minutes to get on here, I'm just trying to get my computer all set up, make sure that I can see all the comments people have. So we're off to a good start. I see it here on my computer and it's muted, so you only have to hear me once, so that is good. Hey Kathy, welcome. I forgot to turn the Wi-Fi off on my phone tonight. So if you guys are having problems, if it seems to be cutting in and out or any of those weird things that it's done in the past, let me know because I'll go in and shut off the Wi-Fi if it starts doing that, because that has seemed to help in the past. So I don't really have anything really exciting to tell you. Follow up with the surgeon today. This was supposed to be like my 6-week post surgical follow-up, but it was really more like 7 weeks. And the surgeon's happy with how things are looking. There was some really bad damage to the tendon, so he is being ultra conservative with me as far as like PT and things like that, because that tissue needs to heal, and you know, soft tissue always takes longer. But he is happy with how it looks. It's looking good, so that's good. That might be all that's going on. Yeah. Oh, I do want to tell you guys, if you are not currently a subscriber of Paper Pumpkin, well, or even if you are, next month's Paper Pumpkin kit, so the one that you can order, hang on, I'm trying to think how this works. The one that you have you have until the 10th of February to order the next Paper Pumpkin kit. And it is really cute. And I can't remember what it's called, but it's got like a little frog and it's got like a little duck, I think. It's just very springy. And for the first time ever, Stampin' Up! Is offering some dies that go with the Paper Pumpkin kit. Let me grab mine because I want to show you. It's so cute because, you know, we're used to these bigger packages of dies. Look at this. It's an itty bitty little die cut pack. It's only 2 dies. It sells for like $6.95 or $6.50 or $6 something. And if you are a Paper Pumpkin member, you can go ahead and order it. If you aren't a Paper Pumpkin member yet, once you sign up and become a member, then you can order it. And so this is just kind of a fun add-on. You don't have to have them, but look at them. They're these itty bitty little tiny dies. How cute are those, right? I know this one is a frog. I don't remember what the other one is. Anyway, I did want to tell you about this because, like I said, if you are a Paper Pumpkin member, you want to go ahead and get these, because once they're gone, they're gone. And I have a feeling these are going to go like hotcakes. So, so definitely get yours right away. And like I said, if you are not a Paper Pumpkin member yet, all you have to do is go on my website and you can sign up there and then get yourself registered as a Paper Pumpkin member and go buy your dies to go with next month's kit. So just a reminder, ooh, lots of people have joined us. Let's see. We've got Kathy has joined us. Marcia has joined us. Let's see. Kathy and Marcia and another Marcia. And let's see, who else? Okay, so far I've got everybody that has left a comment so far, but we've got a few others as well that just haven't commented yet. So that's a good segue for me to remind you about our weekly. Oh, Talina just said hello. Hello, Talina. We've got another Kathy. Welcome, Kathy. I encourage you to comment while we're doing the live here. Participate in the conversation. It's fun. It just gives us kind of we're building a little community here is what we're doing. And that's kind of fun. And I love seeing that. I've said it before, this is my favorite time of the week. So when you comment, get involved in the conversation, ask questions, you can talk to one another, any of that. If you prefer to kind of just sit back and watch, that's okay too, but make sure you at least say hello. Tell me where you're from. I love hearing where everybody's from. It's just exciting to me to have people joining me that aren't in my own backyard, you know? But it's kind of exciting when you find out someone is in your backyard too. So anyway, every week I do a drawing where I go in and I look at everybody who has commented the week before, and their name goes into a drawing, and you win a prize. Now, you don't have to be watching the live video to be included in the drawing. So if you are watching this on replay, whether you're watching it on Facebook or YouTube, still make sure you at least leave me a comment, tell me hello, tell me where you're from, you know, anything you want. But be sure to leave a comment, because then your name will go into the drawing. And the next week, I usually go about a couple hours before I go live the next week and pull up all the names and do the drawing, so that you have time during the week to watch it. And then I draw for it. And then when we go live, I give away a prize. So this week's prize, I'm going to turn the camera around because you can see it better when I do it that way. So let's get the camera turned around. We'll get started. We'll award this week's prize, and then we will get going on our cards. How's that sound? Okay, hang on. Now I have to fiddle with my phone and getting everything lined up, and you know that drives me crazy. Hey, Eric. Okay. Oh, I appear to be looking at my ceiling, don't I? Huh. Okay, so let's get this turned around. How did I do that? Surely there's a button I have to push somewhere. Oh, that was exciting. Did you see that? Okay. Okay. I did not know I could do that. So that's, well, you learn something every day, right? And I'm so impressed by the simplest things. So, okay, now we've got to try to get my phone straight, because I'll sit here and fiddle with it all night long. If it's not, it'll drive me nuts. So, okay. And it always looks straight on my phone, and then it's not on the screen, and then I have to fiddle with it and probably drive all of you guys crazy as well. You know how it is. Okay, so what I did is I put together a little packet. And so I've got a quarter of a pack of our Ever Eden Designer Series paper, and then a pack of our Garden Gems. These are so cool. You can't see them quite as well when they're up against the DSP, but there's these little tiny round ones that from some angles look kind of green and some angles look kind of red. And then these ones that are sort of a kind of a cross between a teardrop and an oval, and they're kind of a bluish green. They're really, really gorgeous. So 24 sheets of 6x6 Designer Series paper along with the gems, and today's prize is going to Ramona Blakely Culp. So welcome. Congratulations, Ramona. I have your address, so I will get these in the mail to you. Okay, so get those. Whoops. Hang on. I'm falling apart over here. Okay. Oh, I'm still falling apart. Okay, so let's start with our first card. The first card is using hand-drawn dots. This is a background stamp that is in the new spring, January through April mini catalog. And then we're going to use kind of an old classic. It's been around a couple years, called Hand Pen Petals, and it has coordinating dies. We're going to use these as well. And then I'm also using my framed Floret's dies. This is kind of cool because it comes with a few more. I guess, you know, it's a standard number, but some of them are pretty big, to make these ovals. And then it's got some foliage as well. So, and then of course there's a coordinating stamp set too. So this is what we're going to use tonight. Let me show you the card we're going to make with them. So here's our decorated envelope, and then here is the card. What do you guys think of this? It's going to be pretty simple. It's so funny because my eyes, the flash light on my camera was kind of in my eyes. So I'm seeing sort of red dots. So I keep thinking, oh my gosh, there's a splotch or something on my card. And it's not, it's just my eyes being funny. So anyway, we're going to go ahead and make this card. And it's actually pretty simple. We're going to do some heat embossing. It was really funny because my son kind of watches some of the stamp stuff I do. You know, he's not interested in stamping in any way, shape, or form, but he does like to play with the tools. And so last night I said to him, I said, okay, I have something cool to show you. And so I showed him heat embossing. And those of you who have done heat embossing, you remember the first time you saw it and how cool it was watching the powder melt and get all shiny. And yeah, I can't explain it. We all have this glorious reaction to it, and it's kind of funny. And he had the same. Okay, so let's start by stamping our envelope. And for this, I'm just taking a piece of scrap paper. You know what? I'm also going to stamp. I have a piece of white for the inside of the card, and we're going to stamp it at the same time because we're using the same ink and the same stamp. And I just put my thumb in the ink. Okay, hang on. This Band-Aid is really gross looking. I just put it on yesterday, but it's got all these weird little threads hanging off it. So it makes me think of a bandage in battle or something, you know, where your bandage is all falling apart. So I have to fix it because it drives me crazy. Okay, gave it a little haircut. So we're going to take this big stamp right here of these flowers. And you know, when I'm dealing with a big stamp like that, I find it's easier to kind of ink it upside down. Lay the stamp down and then do the ink. But be careful because you end up getting ink all over the block. And if you rock the block, that will end up on your paper. I re-inked this last night so you can see, boy, it's nice and bright, isn't it? But that was the point of re-inking it. Okay. And I'm just stamping around trying to fill in all the little gaps here. Stamp all over the flap of the envelope. And I keep sticking my finger right in that. Let's see, right about there. Okay, there we go. So now our envelope is done. Get my stamp cleaner because even though we're still going to stamp, actually, I'll wait to clean it. Here I go, just babbling away. Okay, so I'm going to ink it up. Thanks, Kathy. And I'm just going to stamp this kind of in the corner. Make sure I'm doing it right side up. I didn't think this stamp had an upside down or a right side up, but it does. There we go. So now just a little something in the corner there. And because I have ink all over, I'm just going to take my chamois and get it off the block there. Normally I leave it in this little case. We sell these cases, by the way. They're kind of nice to have. I normally leave my stamp in the case and just go like that to clean it off. But the bigger stamps, sometimes it's a little harder. There we go. Ooh, it's very wet still, my chamois is. Okay, so now what we're going to do, did I get that? Oh, that's not clean. Hold on. Please hold. Just want to make sure I get all that ink off. It'll come off at any time, even if it dries there, so that's not a problem. It's just that you don't realize it's there, and then you can go to use it again and it makes your color ugly because you're now using a different color and the two match and they, you know how it is. Okay, so now I'm going to put this ink away because we're done with this ink for now. Here's our card base. This is Pool Party. I love this color. Pink is my absolute favorite color. I'm a pink girl, but I kind of think this Pool Party is one of my favorite Stampin' Up! Colors. So we're gonna, and what this is just a half of a sheet of cardstock, only I cut it lengthwise. So it's 4 1/4 by 11, scored at 5 1/2. So now we're gonna fold it and crease the edge, get a nice sharp crease there. Set that aside for the moment. Okay, so now let's go ahead actually and glue this white piece to the inside of the card. That way we don't have loose ends just hanging around. Try to get my margins relatively uniform and straight. Okay, now, hold please. Lucy, what are you doing? I hear my dog doing something, but I can't see her, which is kind of nerve-wracking. Okay, so I am going to take my Stamparatus. This is a great tool for, especially for big stamps, like the background stamps like this. And it works really well if you take the side that has your stamp and put a stamp case under it. It just makes it flat, so it's easier to ink it up. Then what we're going to do is I like to line up my paper right here in this corner. And you know what? It feels a little sticky there. Well, that's okay. I'll fix that later. Okay, so I'm going to put a little bit of adhesive right there in that corner. Okay, hold on, please. Lucy, what are you doing? Come on out. Come on. She's behind the couch, and I don't trust her behind the couch. Hey, Susan, welcome. Okay, so I put that paper in the corner. Now I'm going to take my Versamark ink. I'm going to ink up my stamp really good. Now, a good rule of thumb with Versamark, especially if you're going to be heat embossing, is put on as much as you think you're going to need and then put on more. Okay? So, especially with, if you're going to be using this, what did I say this is called? Stamparatus. I always forget what it's called. What I'm going to do is I'm going to stamp it. And I just have a little air hockey paddle thing that I use to just rub it, make sure I'm getting good pressure everywhere so I get a nice even image. Now remember I said, once you think you have enough Versamark, add more. Same idea. We're going to stamp again because you can see there are areas that didn't get it quite as much. And you want lots of Versamark for heat embossing because the powder sticks to it. It's a very, very sticky ink. So the more you can put on there, the better, because it'll just make that powder stick a little bit better. And with the Stamparatus, you know you're going to be stamping in the exact same spot the second time, so you don't have to worry about getting it all lined up right or anything like that. That's what the Stamparatus does for you. It just keeps the stamp in the exact same spot every time. So as long as you have not moved your paper, you know it's going to line up just right. Okay, so see that one area is still getting kind of weird. So I'm just going to put a little more ink right there and try to stamp it again. Just that one area. I wonder if I just wasn't inking it very well right there or not good pressure. There we go. That's a little better. Okay, so now what I'm going to do is I'm going to take my Take Your Pick tool to lift this up, simply because I don't want to stick my fingers in the Versamark. And then what I'm going to do to clean off my stamp is I'm just going to again, take my chamois to the stamp instead of doing it the other way around, which is how I clean most of my stamps. But with these, it's just a little easier. You do have to work a little harder to clean Versamark off just because it is so sticky. And you can see I'm like leaving little bits behind, and that's okay. I'll just take a paper towel and pat it dry, and that'll get that out of there. Now I'll also clean it off of here. Okay, Lucy, you gotta get down. Get down. Good girl. Okay. Take my paper towel and pat this. Get down. Get down. Lucy likes paper towels. She always wants to eat them. So yeah, I have to try to prevent that from happening. Okay, so now I'm going to put my Versamark ink away. And I'm going to take my piece of cardstock here. I've got my little scrap paper here that is folded in half. And we do sell trays that you can do your embossing on that have like a little spout at one end for pouring the powder back into the container. Oh no. Lucy, bring it here. She took my paper towel, which means she's going to eat it and end up with it everywhere. So give me just a moment to try to get it back from her. Lucy, do you want a treat? Gotta drop it. Oh, she wants to turn it into a game of chase, and I'm not playing the game tonight. So, okay, now what you do is you take your embossing powder. You can buy these in packs. There's a metallic pack that has silver, copper, and gold, or you can get the pack that has white, clear, and black. We're going to use the white, and I'm going to pour it on here. And you want to do it quite liberally because the excess is going to go back in the container anyway. You're not wasting a bunch of the powder. Okay. Okay. And I'm trying not to touch the edges because I don't want to touch where the ink is and then have the powder stick to my fingers and then it's not on the card. That's a little hard to do though. Okay, so I'm just kind of playing with it all over just to make sure I get that powder everywhere. I can see there's like a spot right there where there's some that shouldn't be. So for that, I'm just taking a little paintbrush. Oops. And I accidentally just wiped off areas where there should be some. So we'll put that back on in that space. Hopefully it doesn't stick everywhere like it did a minute ago. Tap the back to get some of that off. See, it's still... Okay, we're going to try to be very, very careful here. We might just have to live with that section. Okay, we're going to call it good like that. That's not terrible. Except for you can see on the edges where I lost some, so now I've got to fix that. It really isn't as difficult as I'm making it, but those of you who have been watching me for a while know that I have a tendency to make things a lot more difficult than they need to be. Okay, so now I'm just going to pour this back into the little container. Put my scrap paper away. And you do want to try to get the powder on quickly. The Versamark doesn't dry super quickly, but, you know, sorry about that. The sooner you do it, the stickier the ink still is. And then it's gonna get a little bit loud while I do this because of the heat tool, but it should only take a minute. Hey Sharon, welcome. Okay, so I'm gonna start, it's gonna wanna blow everywhere, so I recommend holding it in place with your take your pick tool, not with your fingers, because it does get very, very hot. And the way you know that an area is done, you can kind of see there how it goes from looking very grainy to being smooth and shiny. And as it gets hotter, it goes faster because obviously it's hotter. See the difference there? You can see where I haven't hit it yet with the heater compared to where I have. We're almost there. And it does, the heat does cause your paper to curl a little bit, but as it cools off, it flattens back out. So don't worry about that. Now just one more pass through quickly to just make sure I've got everything. Okay, and there we go. So you can see that really didn't take all that long. And there we have it. So now what we're going to do is we are going to go ahead and adhere it to this piece that is just slightly bigger. It's like I normally do where I make a mat that is just a little bit bigger, but it's the same color. I like it. It just gives it kind of a finished edge. And I love how it, on the card, kind of that tone on tone color. It just really looks cool, I think. Okay, so now we're going to line it up. It is a little harder to line up when you can't really see your margins because it's the same color. Okay, there we go. Okay, little tip. If you have a section like this one right here that's kind of boogery a little bit, put it in the lower left-hand corner because that is typically not where you put stuff to draw the eye. So it won't be a big deal. So then now the next thing we're going to do is we're going to take a little bit of ribbon here. And I'm just going to tie it around this piece. And I'm not, this is going to be a lot longer than what I actually need. That's okay. Okay. Pull it kind of tight because it does put some bulk there. You don't want too much bulk. Now I'm just going to trim these down a little bit, but we're probably going to want to trim it down again as we finish the card. But I'm just doing this so that I don't have so much ribbon just sitting there and getting in the way. So now move this to about halfway down. And we can actually go ahead and stick this on our card now. And for this, I'm using our foam adhesive sheets. I use a half a sheet on this size. What I do is this is a half of a sheet, and I love our foam adhesive sheets. If you have not tried using them yet, I really recommend it. If you use dimensionals, this is a great alternative to having to use a bunch of dimensionals on a big piece. Hey Sharon, welcome. Now what I do is I cut these in strips because then I can spread them apart a little bit, just make it go a little further. I didn't have to cut a piece that was that whole size, but it still will give good support on my card. Get down, puppy. No, that's not for you. Get down. No, get down. No, none of that is for you. Get down. She's going through all my stuff, figuring out what she can steal. Golden retrievers by nature are little thieves. I don't know if you knew that, but it really is true. They like to steal stuff. Okay, so yes, Kathy, I saw your note there that Lucy wants to stamp too. Actually, no, she wants to eat the stamps. She wants to eat everything. That's what Lucy does. Okay, so now I'm going to put this on my card. This just pops it up a little bit, especially with that tone on tone. I love the shading that it gives. And then the next step here, I have a piece of basic white, and I have some of our adhesive sheets. And these are really cool. It's a two-sided sticky that you put on the back of something before you die cut it, and it turns your die cut into a sticker. So we're gonna go ahead and put this on the back of the basic white. It is very, very, very sticky. It likes to stick to your fingers. Then I recommend, before you do your die cutting, do this to just really get that glue sticking to your cardstock. Plus it does make the release paper release a little bit easier when you do that. Then what we're gonna do, let me show you here. I've got a couple pieces we're working with. Okay, first I'm gonna take these dies, and I want this one here with the detailed flower. Let me grab my machine. And we can use the little one for this. By the way, if you are at all interested in talking to me about joining Stampin' Up, or if it's something you've already considered, during Celebration, there's an amazing special going on. Normally our kit is $99, and you get to pick $125 worth of free products of your choice. Plus you get a few extra things like a paper pumpkin kit and some catalogs and that kind of thing. However, during Celebration, you can get that kit, or for just $30 more, you can get $175 worth of products plus a mini cutting and embossing machine. And you can choose between a white one and one that is, oh, I forget what the color is called, but it's a blue. It's like a cornflower blue. It's so pretty. So for only $30 more, you're getting about $100 more worth of products. So you end up getting about $250 worth of stuff. It's great. Okay, so hey, Teresa, welcome. You know what? That's what I do too, Teresa. I have stuff streaming while I work. Okay, so we're gonna go ahead and we're gonna cut out this flower. We put our adhesive on the back of it because I want it to be a sticker. Sorry about the shaking. Okay, so there's our first one. Okay, now what we're gonna do, move this out of the way for the moment. And we gotta get this bad boy out of there. Let's put this away before I lose it. Okay, now one nice thing about using this adhesive paper, dies like this that are so intricate and have all these little pieces that have to come out, it's kind of a pain, right? But when you have adhesive paper, see if I can find, like right there is where one of the edge of one of the papers. I'm trying to do this without ruining my little piece. See how it pulled a lot of those little pieces out as I pulled the backing off? So that's kind of nice. It got a lot of it out of it for me. I still have to go through by hand and pick some of it out, but it at least gets a lot of it out. Then what I do, I'm trying to get these big ones that are stuck. Push all that out of the way. I'm going to take my Take Your Pick tool, and I'm just going to poke it. Now, what I recommend doing is poke it from the sticky side. And the reason for that is because if you poke it from the front, these little pieces get pushed backward and then they end up sticking to the sticky stuff. It's not a big deal to take it off, take those little pieces off. If that happens, it's just kind of a pain to have to do it. So make sure I've got all my little pieces out, and I think I do. See, there's one that's stuck to the little sticky stuff. There we go, came off. Now what I'm gonna do is I want to put this about like this in the corner. So it's kind of like that, right? And then I'm gonna flip this over and I'm gonna go like this over it. That's just making sure that it's stuck down really, really well. I don't do that on the front because I don't want it to accidentally lift any of those little pieces if they're loose. So I've got it stuck down really well. Let me get rid of this garbage. Okay, so now we're bringing back the cutting and embossing machine. Put my plates in place, and I'm going to now use this frame. And we're actually, what I want from this frame is I want this center piece right here. I don't need all of this. So you can see my paper is actually not big enough for the whole thing. I don't care, I just want the center. What I'm gonna do is I'm gonna line this up where I want it and see how it's cutting off the edge of my flower. So my flower is just fitting in part of the oval. I'm doing that on purpose. So what I think what I'll do is I'm gonna tape it down to make sure it stays in place. I'm using my Post-it tape. And I'm going to, can you see this here? I'm gonna just figure out exactly where I want this. Kind of like that, I think. And I'm just gonna put a little tape down to hold it in place. Okay. Oh, I'm doing this. You can do it from either side, but I'm so used to turning it with my right hand. Plus, you know, I'm still trying to take it easy with my shoulder. Okay. Feed it through. And you can usually cut through about 2 layers of cardstock with the machine. With DSP, I think you can do about 3 because it's a thinner paper. So let's put this away. Take my tape off. And you can reuse that tape. It's good for a few uses before it starts to get too unsticky to where, you know, just like a sticky note. You can move a sticky note several times before it says I've had enough. So look at that. Now we've got the flower fitting our oval just right. And I see one of those silly little dots right there that came out of the center. There we go. So we've got that now. Take this off. And I'm going to put this away. I'm going to use a little bit more of my adhesive, but I'm going to use dimensionals this time because I'm going to be going over the ribbon and I don't want to have dimensionals where I've got ribbon. It just makes it even bulkier and that's not what you want. So I'm going to put dimensionals on. I want it, let's see, so if I'm putting it here, I want dimensionals in this corner. And I want dimensionals in the opposite corner. So we're going to start out with those. Take the backs off. Ooh, I'm creating quite the little mess over there tonight. And we're just on the first card. And I'm lining this up. I'm just kind of looking because I want the knot to be right in the middle there so that we're not getting additional bulk between the knot and the dimensionals. Now it looks like it's just a little bit crooked. I want it to be straight. Imagine that. Okay. And I think I'm going to put a few more dimensionals in these spots now just to give it a little extra support. So how do you do that when you've already got it laying down? Well, let me show you. Okay, now I'm just making a mess. what I do is I take my dimensional, I take my Take Your Pick tool, and then I just slide it under there in the area that I feel like it's going to need a little bit more support. So that corner too, one more. There. So now it is still a little bulkier in the center. Now a way around that is I could have done my dimensionals 2 dimensionals thick, where you just stack them on top of each other. And that might have been Boho Blue. Thank you, Kathy. That's the name of the blue shade of the mini cutting and embossing machine you can get if you sign up with Stampin' Up! This month or during Celebration, which ends in February. Okay, so anyway, there we go. See, and this still looks a little bit crooked. So I'm just going to lift it a little so that I can twist it a little more. Okay, there we go. Let's go ahead and finish this up now. So put these away. I have this little guide, just this little strip. And what I'm going to do is I'm putting it in. This is the Lovely Label Punch, something like that. And sometimes it's a little bit crooked in there, so I do like to look at it from the bottom and make sure first. If it is like slightly off center, I'll just take the tip of my Take Your Pick tool and move it until I like where it's at. Punch it, and there we go. Now we have a banner end. Move that out of the way. Get the ink back out. And I have the sentiment, thanks. And this sentiment is part of this stamp set, the hand pinned. And I'm going to stamp it kind of toward the edge where my, I don't know what you call that, the little flag end of my banner is. Oh, you guys want to see something funny that I realized last night as I was doing up my notes and stuff to get everything ready to post to social media when we're done tonight? I did not do this on purpose, but I thought this was funny. So the 2 stamps I'm using, there's hand-penned petals and hand-drawn dots. Didn't do that on purpose, but I thought that was kind of funny. Okay, so now what I'm going to do is I'm going to line this up, figure out where exactly I want this to go. And you can see it's going to go off the edge a little bit. So what I'm going to do is I am going to put it in place first because I want it to be the right length. So I'm going to use a little bit of my liquid glue, and I'm going to use a dimensional. And I'm going to put my dimensional, let's see, I want my dimensional to be right about there. And I'm going to put just a little bit of liquid glue on the banner end of this. Doesn't take a whole lot. There we go. And then take my little snips and trim that. Whoops. Oh, that's nice and crooked now, isn't it? Way to go, Heather. This is the reason I don't like to cut stuff by hand, because I can't do it straight. And then I sit there. Well, you guys, we've talked about this before when I cut my own bangs. Yeah, same principle applies. I can't handle it. Okay, you guys, I can't. I just can't. So I'm going to lift it up just a little bit. See if I can do this without having to go back 100 times and then end up with it 1/2 inch long in the end. See, now it's kind of curved. Okay, I'm going to have to, no, I can't. I'm going to have to let it go, but I just can't. I just can't. Okay, I'm going to have to. Gonna have to. Come on, Heather, you're a big girl. You can do this. Okay, so last thing I'm going to do is I'm just going to add a few pearls to this. So I have my Pearl Basic Jewels. And let's see. I've got, here we go. I've got the large one. I'm going to use a large and a couple mediums. So let's see, put one there. And I've got some mediums on this sheet that I want to use up. Hang on just a second, Lucy. put one right there. And put one on this side, maybe right there. And there you go. That is card number 1 with our matching envelope. So there we go. All right. Now clean up my mess and we'll get ready for card number 2. And if it's true when they say a messy desk is the sign of a creative mind, I'm in good shape, especially tonight. Okay, let's get rid of some of this. I always have to start over clean when I get a new card. Okay, let the dog out. Hang on. All right, Luce, come outside. Go on. Oh, you're driving me crazy. She likes to go to the door and jump on it like she wants to be let out. I go over there and then she just stares at me like I have 3 heads. Okay, card number 2. We are using the Sweetest Cherries, and I'm really only using this for the sentiment. I wanted birthday wishes, and I really liked the font with this, so we're going to use this stamp set. We're using the Adorable Owls again. Remember, this is one of the free gifts you can earn during Celebration with a $50 order, and how can you not love these little guys, right? And then I'm also using our Country Gingham Designer Series paper. Let me kind of show it to you. It's got 4 different colors. It's got the Sweet Sorbet, Pale Papaya, Balmy Blue, and Mint Macaron. But it's got all different patterns. See? A bunch of different patterns. Let you see the front too. See? Lots of... So between the different colors and the different patterns, there's a lot you can do with this paper. I really like it. And it comes in 6x6 sheets. So I think you get like 48 of them or something like that. Okay, so I brought that because I wanted you to see that. Whoops, I have dies I have to put back in the little folder, envelope, whatever. Okay, and then we're also going to use the layering circles dies. So, with that, let's get going. Here's the card we're going to make. Isn't that adorable? And then the inside's pretty simple. So for our envelope, we're just going to glue a little strip of the Designer Series paper onto the envelope. Got that right here. Oh, we're going to glue it onto an empty envelope. How about that? I agree with you, Teresa. The owls are so cute. I kind of suspect, you know how I was saying earlier that, you know, some of the Celebration stuff goes really quickly. I have a feeling the owls are going to be one of those things that everybody loves. Okay, so I'll put a little glue around the edge there. I have a strip here that is 2.5 by 6 inches. And I'm going to line it up. I like to use the liquid glue so I can slide it around if I need to. Got a little glue on there, so as soon as it dries, I'll use my glue eraser to get rid of that. Glue eraser is not something Stampin' Up! Carries, but you can buy it on Amazon for a couple bucks. Hold on just a second. Lucy, hey, get out of here. I showed her she's going behind the couch and doing stuff she's not supposed to do, so I just moved the couch against the wall. Okay, so now I'm going to trim around the edge here. If you cut off a little bit of your envelope, that's okay, it doesn't matter. No one knows any different. Only you will know this. Or, you know, everybody who's watching your video if you're, you know, putting it out there on a video like I am. Even so, I doubt the recipient of the card will care. Okay, so we've got the envelope done. I'm gonna get that sticky off right now because that'll bug me. Let's see. Well, that would require that I'm able to find my adhesive eraser. No idea where it's at. I wonder if I accidentally put it in my desk. There it is. Yes, I did. Okay. Sorry, it shakes the table a little bit. But all you have to do is you just go over the adhesive like that. And I know you couldn't really see it before, but you know it's gone because you can't feel it anymore. There we go. There we go. Okay, here we go. That dog is going to drive me to drink tonight, you guys. Okay, so now we have a sheet. Oh, see, now I have glue. There's glue on the front of my envelope, and you can see that one, right? I guess it wouldn't matter, that the stamp would probably cover that up anyway. But you were able to see at least how it comes right off. Oh, Sharon, that is so adorable. Sharon said that she has a little chihuahua named Presley. And Presley is tucked into the inside of her hoodie up by her neck, staying warm and sleeping. Okay, so now I'm going to take my bone folder. This is just a standard card base where it's 8.5 by 5.5, scored in the middle at 4 1/4. Let's get going on our card. So the first piece I'm going to do is the inside, and I've got 2 pieces of the basic white cardstock. I have a little strip of our designer series paper. I'm going to take my liquid glue and put it on the strip. A little goes a long way. A little goes a very long way. And I'm putting it right up to the edge of the white cardstock. Sometimes I like to leave a little bit of that white edge showing, but in this case I decided I wanted it to go right up to the edge. I'm getting glue all over myself tonight. Good grief. Okay, so now I'm going to go ahead and just trim off the extra. And then we're going to glue that into the card. Oh, Sharon's going to bed, so she's going to catch the replay later. Thanks for joining us for a while there, Sharon. Sleep well, don't bite the bed bugs. Okay, so now we have the inside of our card done. So I'll set this aside. We have our other basic white, and actually let's go ahead and glue it down because we're not going to do anything to it to stamp on it or anything, so we might as well go ahead and put it in place. Kind of line up my margins. Okay, now I have a strip of my designer series paper and a strip of sweet sorbet, and I'm going to line them up like this so just a little bit of the edges come out. Now if you are particular like me and you want to make sure it's even, what I did is I laid this piece down so I could kind of see the measurements on my, oh, you can't see that. Hang on, let me move this up so you can see what I'm talking about. There's measurements on this. And by the way, you can buy this grid paper. And we have mini grid paper that also fits on the, why can't I think of what it's called? The stamping thing. You know, the stamping thing. The, oh my goodness, why can't I think of the name? I always forget the name. This guy, my stamp, I don't know, stamp of something. But anyway, the grid paper fits on that, but a lot of people use it like I use this, just to stamp on. Anyway, so I'm laying this down. I'm gonna put a little bit of, actually, let's go ahead and put some adhesive on here. Now I'm just going to line it up. It doesn't matter what measurements you line it up to. The point is just that it's lined up so you can see where your edges are. And then I'm just going to lay this out so that I'm going to have to eyeball vertically, but horizontally I can see where about this is going to go. And now it looks like I had it a little bit crooked, so I'm going to have to do that again. So let's lay it back down. And basically I want a 1/2 inch extra on each end. So that's what I'm trying to do. I'm trying to line it up this way. Make sure it's straight. Okay, I think I still got a little bit more on the top than I did on the bottom, but you know, oh well. And I'm going crazy with the adhesive tonight, I guess. There we go. There we go. And it's kind of crooked too. Oh well, I'm just going to go with it. It's going to kill me to do it, but I'm just going to go with it. So now I'm going to go ahead and glue this onto the card front. And it's going to go from one end of the white to the next. So I really just needed to line it up horizontally. And set that aside. We're going to work on the next step. We're going to do a little bit of stamping. So first, let's take this piece right here. And I've got my sentiment that says birthday wishes. And my ink, which is Sweet Sorbet. And I'm going to stamp it right in the middle, or I'm going to try to stamp right in the middle. It's a little hard to line it up perfectly with the camera here, but I'm going to do my best. Oh yeah, you can see I went off the edge a little bit, but we can live with that, right? And then I'm going to put this away because this is a color that I would lay down in and get everywhere. Now, a way you can make your own little banner edges, go right in the center and do a little snip, and then just go from the corner to the end of your snip. Stamparatus, thank you, Sharon. I don't know why I have such a hard time with that. I always want to call it the Stamp-A-Majig, which is an alignment tool we had, 100 years ago, but that's what I always seem to want to call it. So again, I'm just doing a little snip down the center there, and then from the corner to the end of my snip, from the corner to the end of my snip, and there we go. So let's set that aside for the moment. And then I have my circles that I cut out with my layering circles. And one is this kind of scalloped edge and one is just plain white. I'm going to wait to layer them. You want to wait until you've done whatever you're going to do on your front piece, because then if you need to redo that front piece, you're not having to recut a background piece again. So now I'm going to take my black Memento ink. And my stamp is here somewhere. Here's this cute little owl and his little bow tie. And I'm going to line them up. I'm taking this off camera so I can get right over it. Oh, I guess I wasn't even off camera. There, got him. Perfect, perfect, perfect. Okay, let's color him really quickly, and I'm going to use my Stampin' Blends for that. I want, those ones are my Parakeet Party. And then I've got my, hold on. I have my dark Real Red. Then I also have my light and dark Sweet Sorbet. Okay, so let's get going. Oh, and I also need Okay, so I've got my dark and light pumpkin pie. Let's do this first. This is for his beak and his little feet. So I'm just doing little bits of color here. And to be honest, those little feet are so tiny, I probably don't need to do the 2 colors. But I'm an overachiever. Now I'm going to take the light one and just kind of blend it in a little bit. Here we go. And then let's go ahead and do the green. And for this, I'm going to do his eyes and his bow tie. I've got the dark first, and I'm going to do just kind of little sections of the dark. And then I'm also going to do the center of the bow tie right here. And you know, when I made my sample one, I came back and added a little more to the bow tie so that it stood out a little more. So we still may do that. We'll see how it looks. Adding my light, just make sure you kind of blend where the 2 come together so it's not just a stark line. And the center. There we go. We'll do our other colors. Let that sort of soak into the paper and see how it looks to see if we need to add a little more shading somewhere else. Now what I'm going to do is I'm actually using 3 shades here. I've got my dark and light Sweet Sorbet, but then I also have my dark Real Red. And the reason for that is that extra pop of the red is a little bit darker. So by using the 3 colors, it just gives me even more dimension. So I'm using the dark Real Red on his ear tips there. I'm going to use it kind of, I don't know what you call this part. It's his forehead. I'm going to use it on his forehead like so. I'm going to use it on the very tips of his little wings. And then I want to do just a little bit of his underbelly here. Now I'm going to take my dark Sweet Sorbet, kind of blend a little bit where that Real Red stops. Oops, I got a little on this little eye. That's okay. Now I'm going to use my light and I'm going to kind of fill in the rest. I may find that I want to come back with one of the darker ones, and that's okay. You do want it, when you come back, you do want to give it a little time to sort of soak in, like I said, with the eyes, and just long enough, like while you're coloring another area. It's not like it takes 20 minutes or anything like that. But it does give you a better perspective on what shading you need, and it layers the color rather than just making it a big blob of color. There we go. And I do want to add just a little bit more of the dark to his tie and a dot of the dark to his eyes. So just a little bit dark right there. And then this section right here. There. Now I'm going to go ahead and put these pieces together. You have a very, very small margin with this. So I do like to use my liquid glue for that so I can kind of slide it around and get it where I want it a little easier. There we go. Okay, and we're going to go ahead and put some dimensionals on there. Oh, there's my dimensionals. You know me, I kind of go crazy with the dimensionals. I tend to use a lot. That's okay. You get a lot in a package, so don't worry about overdoing it, so to speak. I would rather have too many and have my card supported than have it start to sag in places because there's just not enough foam adhesive holding up the pieces that I want popped up. And so now I'm going to go ahead and stick this guy right about here, like so. And now I have my birthday wishes. Let's put some dimensionals on that. Oops, it's stuck to me. And let's see, I think I want it right about there. Make sure it's straight. Yeah, that looks straight enough. Now I have my baker's twine. You can get a pack of the baker's twine that comes with all 5 of our in colors. And it's white with a little bit of the color twined around it like that. I'm going to use my bow jig. You can find bow makers all over the internet. So that's what I've done here. I typically, if I'm just doing a single bow, I'll do it by hand. But the thing I do like about having a bow maker is it makes it easy to do like double and triple bows, which is what I did here. So then what you do is you kind of want to fan out your loops like that. I like that. And then I'm going to take my glue dots there we go. And I'm just going to lay my bow right there on a glue dot, press it in really well. I did do the drawing, Sharon, and Ramona Blakely Culp won tonight's drawing. Hold on, Lucy. And now I just want to put this guy kind of right here. Fan these out a little bit. And I want to trim those. I don't want them quite so long. So let's go ahead and trim them now. Maybe trim just a teeny bit more off. Okay, there we go. And last but not least, we're going to take the In Color matte decorative dots and let's see, I'm going to put one right there. I'm going to put one right here, and then I want to put a little one on there. I said I want to put a little one on there. There. And this card is finished. So it was pretty quick and easy, right? Ta-da! Okay, let's put stuff away, get cleaned up for the next card. Getting all these little backs to the dimensionals drives me crazy. That is one thing I like about the foam adhesive sheets versus the dimensionals, is you have one big piece of backing instead of a bunch of little tiny ones. Okay, now let's put these pieces away. I don't know where my bag, oh, there it is. Okay. And our final card tonight, I'm excited about this one. I did a little bit of this last week too, but I love it so much. It's so much fun that I had to do it again. So let's see, let's turn this up a little. Am I going the right direction? I think I'm going the wrong direction. There we go. Okay. There we go. Okay, so tonight we're using Playing in the Rain, and it actually does have coordinating dies. You can get it as a bundle. I am not using the dies tonight, but I do recommend getting it as a bundle. Plus you get a 10% savings when you do that. Hold on. We're also using this amazing Designer Series paper, Regency Park. It comes in 6x6 sheets. Let me show you what some of the patterns are here. You can see these. I'm trying to do it sort of slow so you can see the different patterns. I really, really, really love this paper. Really. So there's the front side, and let's show you the back. Maybe I don't know why it's giving me such trouble. See? And if you, like for example on this one, if you want something a little bit darker, take your Stampin' Blends and just color over that for a little bit bolder shade. I've seen people do that and it looks really cool. So there's some of the patterns. And this is part of a suite, and the suite comes with a punch, and the punch fits on these to cut these flowers out. Okay, so we're also going to use the Scalloped Contours dies. You know I like to use these rectangles quite a bit, but tonight we're going to use this edge. And here's the card. Okay, you ready for this cuteness overload? Look at this. With his little matching jacket, hat, and umbrella. This is what I'm having so much fun doing right now. Okay, so let's get started with our envelope. And again, we're just gluing a strip onto the flap of the envelope. Little glue all the way around the edge. Remember, little goes a long way. If you use too much, it will make your paper kind of warp. And I mean, in addition to that, you know, you'll end up with glue squirting out everywhere. But also it makes your paper warp, and that's just not a good look. Okay, so line that up. I've got a little crooked here, but I may not have lined everything up quick enough. If you take advantage of it while it's still kind of liquidy before it starts getting tacky, then you can wiggle it around if you need to. Get that glue off of there that it was on my fingers. I use this all the time, you guys. If you don't have one of these, go on Amazon and find one. They're only a couple bucks. Okay, let's see here. In fact, you know what I'll do? In addition to the celebration deal that's going on, anybody who places an order the rest of this month, so the rest of January, if you place an order of $75 or more, I will send you one of the glue erasers for free. Okay. There we go. So now our envelope is done. Let's start putting this bad boy together. So I'm just using a basic white card base. And it's your basic base, 8.5 by 5.5, scored in the middle at 4 1/4. Set that aside for the moment. Now I'm going to take some pieces here that I'm just going to put together. So I have a strip of Night of Navy that I used that scalloped edge die cut, and I'm going to line it up under here. I made it intentionally much longer than I needed, just so that I can make sure that I matched it up perfectly with my designer series paper like that. You could offset it and do it that way too. I went back and forth and decided to do it like this. So what I'm going to do is I'm going to put a little bit of adhesive in those little round edges there of the scallops. But then hold on, didn't get any there. I'm also going to put adhesive along that edge of my Night of Navy. And now let's line it up again. There we go. And we're just going to cut off the extra. I prefer to come from this angle because I can get it a little bit better. Okay, so there we go. We've got that nice little blue edge. Let's go ahead and glue this onto our card. Or not on the card, but on the other piece of the front. Put a little bit there, a little bit there. And watch the margins. Of course, we're only lining up the margins on 3 sides because one side is considerably shorter than the other. Ooh, I don't like, there's a little bit of blue sticking out there, so I'm going to cut that because it really stands out when it's up against the Mango Melody. There we go. Okay, let's try this again. Line it up. See, that blue really sticks out there, but I'm just gonna go with it. Okay, let's set this aside for a moment. Now I have this rectangle that I also used my scalloped contours to cut out, and we're gonna stamp the fox on there. And again, I'm using the Memento black ink. And then I also have this scrap scrap paper. So first I'm going to stamp him kind of, I would say lined up more with the top, so there's a little extra room at the bottom because we're going to put that bow on there. There we go. And then what I want to do is I want to stamp the various components of this because we're going to cut them out. So let's see. Did that one so that I've got the umbrella. Oh, I can get his hat there too because I did it high enough up. And I want to get his jacket. There we go. Okay. So you do have to fussy cut these, but this isn't really too bad. You cut right along the lines. And it lines up with the lines on the image. So if it's not perfect, the line from the image stands out. I mean, it works out really well. So let's see, let's cut out his little jacket, his little raincoat. You know the drill, make sure you're moving the paper, not the scissors. It also helps if you don't have a whole bunch of extra paper on there. Like in this case, I've got this big old strip, and I should have kind of cut it down into my two components there so I didn't have this big strip, but somehow we're going to survive. I have faith. Now he does have a little hand right there on inside the jacket, and we're just going to color that with one of the Stampin' Blends anyway, so that's not a big deal. There. Oops, got to get this little piece cut out right here. And then put them, if you're cutting multiples out, and they're small, so if you're cutting multiples out, set them somewhere where you won't lose them. Cut, cut, cut. Did a little bit right there that I want to trim off. There we go. And we're just going to go around the edge like this. So, oops, got to cut his ear out of this part. Okay, put that with the other piece so I don't lose it. Looks like I need to just cut that a little tiny bit. There. Whoops, that could have been tragic. Okay, and now I'm going to cut out the umbrella. It's actually pretty easy to fussy cut when you're doing this because you're cutting right on the line. When people have a hard time fussy cutting, it's when you're trying to leave that little bit of a halo around the image, and we're not doing that tonight. So it is a lot easier when you're cutting right on the line. Okay. Okay. So I'm going to set those there because now we need to color our fox, right? So the colors that I'm going to use, I'm going to use the light and dark Cajun Craze. I also have light and dark Cherry Cobbler. And then I also, is that all yeah, those are the only colors that I used. Okay, so what I did is I started with the dark Cherry Cobbler because I wanted it to have kind of a little bit of a reddish hue along the edges. So I'm just going to do the edge of the tail with the dark Cherry Cobbler. And then, you know, maybe even like these little lines there like that. And then I also want to do his head with a little bit of the red. Or Cherry Cobbler, sorry. Get those little accent pieces and maybe a little bit under his eye as well. Maybe the side of his eye. Okay, and maybe the bottom of his chin here. Then I took my light, I'm gonna wait on the light Cherry Cobbler and see if I need it. Now I'm using my dark Cajun Craze. And I'm just kind of blending a little bit. his tail here. And if you find they don't blend really well, that's when you'll want to bring in the lighter cherry cobbler. It'll just kind of help to go from that dark cherry cobbler to the Cajun Craze. Another thing that helps is to kind of do that, just see how I'm doing just those strokes like that versus the solid coloring. That kind of helps too. Okay, now I'm going to take my light Cajun Craze. Oops. Oh, I forgot to do his ears. Yeah, I don't really like how that blended on his face. I'm liking how the tail is turning out, but it didn't blend so well on his face, so I'll end up bringing in some of that light cherry cobbler, I think, to blend. And the tail, I liked it to go a little bit, you know, from the kind of red to the dark to the light, like that. And it's a little easier because there's not as much shaping, you know, different directions and shapes and such as there is on the face. So now I'm going to take my light cherry cobbler, maybe take the brush tip this time to just kind of bring some of that in. And I'm going to use the light again. There we go. And it'll, you know, as it soaks in, it'll kind of shade a little bit more. I do want to get a little bit more of the dark, I think, on this light part of his tail. There. Oh, and his ears. Gotta do his ears. So I'm just going to use a teeny bit of the red, and I'm using the wrong tip, but that's okay. I mean, it really doesn't matter what tip you use. I just, when I want to be a little more precise, I do prefer, my kind of bold tip versus the brush tip. And I think I'm just going to use a dark cherry cobbler and the dark Cajun Craze on his ears. There's not a lot of room for different colors. That tail needs just a teeny bit more red. Oh, and his legs. He has legs too, and his hands. What is wrong with me, you guys? Oh, thank you, Kathy, for answering Sharon's question about the designer series paper. Okay, so actually I don't want the hands to be too red, so I'm just going to use my dark Cajun Craze to do his little hand. And then for his little legs, I might find that I want to add a little bit of the cherry cobbler to shade on the legs when I'm done there. Just a little bit, but let's see how it turns out. But I have found that I am kind of liking using 3 colors when I shade now. It just gives it a little bit more pop. Yeah, I need to, because it looks like his makeup on his face doesn't match the rest of his body. Okay. Let's see there. Got to get that to blend a little bit better. So let's take the light one. Just blend that. Okay, and then we need to get the little hand that's on his jacket. And I did find I needed to add a little red of the cherry cobbler to this hand because we are going over the yellow. Okay. Put my little pins away. Now let's get this guy's clothes on. And again, I use the liquid glue for this so that I can slide the pieces into place if I need to. Very, very little bit of glue. You don't want to end up with glue everywhere. And see how it just lines up perfect, so that even if I haven't cut it quite right, like maybe I cut too far into the black line is on the stamped image, so it works out fine. Okay, let's put his little hat on. Isn't he just adorable, you guys? And his little umbrella. Sometimes I just amuse myself so much. Okay. Okay, so now what we're going to do is we're going to go ahead, and I've got a Night of Navy rectangle here that is just a tiny bit bigger than my scalloped rectangle. Let's go ahead and glue it on. I have hair everywhere. That was a gray one. I'm glad that one fell out. Okay, and just line it up so we've got just a little bit of a navy blue border around this. Let's go ahead and put this on our card. Again, I'm going to use a foam adhesive sheet. Have to open a new pack. When you buy them, you get 6 of these sheets, and you can see they're about 5 inches by 5 inches, I think. 4.5 by 4.5. And then I keep, all my little extra pieces, and I use them instead of dimensionals sometimes, just so I'm not wasting them. And let's see. When you're cutting the big piece, it does help to sometimes use bigger scissors. And see how much I want to cut off here. About that much. Okay, we're going to stick this onto a card. Then we're going to add a few embellishments, and then we're done. So, I guess we could have glued that first part to our card already. So I'm just going to line this up, try to make sure my left to right horizontal margins are where I want them. Make sure my little guy is straight, because with those foam adhesive sheets, once you lay it down, that's it. It's pretty unforgiving. It's hard to lift it back up. Not to say that it can't be done. It's just, you don't want to if you don't have to. So now let's go ahead and lay this down. Watch your margins. Okay, I've got a little bit of ribbon here to make a tiny little bow. This is in our new spring catalog as well. Well, that's an ugly bow. Let's try it again. Oh, thanks, Diane. Okay. Come on, Heather, you can do this. Okay, so now I just want to fiddle with it just to get my loops the size I want them and get them even. So I'll fiddle with it for just a minute, or 20. Oops. I don't know what just happened there. It's a very weird bow. I don't know why it's being so funky. Little tip, as you're trying to adjust the size of your loops, if you put your finger in there, it does help to give you a little more control as you pull the tails through. I don't like the way that bottom piece is sticking up, but I don't know that there's really anything I can do about that. Okay, retie it. I'm not going to stay here all night, keep you guys here all night while I try to tie a bow, but I have got to get this. That's better. Okay, pull it nice and tight, and then adjust my loops a little bit, and then we're good to go. Okay, now I'm just going to trim the tails, but I'll wait to trim the tails, I think, until I have my bow actually on the card, because that just gives me kind of a guess of how much I want to cut off. Typical rule of thumb is to have the end of your tail match the edge of your loop. Okay, get my little blue dots here. Right there. We're going to stick it right here in the corner. There. Pull this down just a little. There we go. Now, last thing we're going to do, we're going to add a few gems on there just to spice it up. I'm using the adhesive backed Milky Dots, and I love these. These are so pretty. They have white, a really faint purple, this beautiful blue, and yellow. So let's put these guys on here. Use a couple of big ones and a small one. There we go. Oh, we didn't do the ins. What did I do to the inside of this card? Oh, that's right. Oh, that's right. So I have Rainy Days Are Better With You. And then I also have this little umbrella. Let's do this quickly. I know we're running long on time tonight, aren't we? Okay. Good night, Judy. Thanks for joining us tonight. Thanks, Marcia. Okay, so first I'm going to stamp my little umbrella on the inside of the card, just like so. Then I'm going to use my black to stamp the sentiment. And put it down here right by my umbrella. Oops, I need my umbrella back because I need to stamp it on my scrap over here so that we can cut it out. If you guys enjoyed what we did tonight, I would love it if you would give me some likes or thumbs up. Even share my video. That really helps me a lot when you share the video. I do hope you guys enjoy this. I really do. It's fun for me to get to spend some time with you guys. And you know, that time that I was out with my shoulder surgery, I really did miss doing this. So I'm glad that I'm back on track and so many of you came back. That was one thing I was a little worried about is, you know, it's important to be consistent and you go offline for a while and you just don't know if everybody's going to come back or not because people get busy and then they forget, you know, that kind of thing. So I am so glad to see you guys came back. Okay, so let's glue this guy on. Looks like a little fish from the back. Whoop. If you want to take advantage of the Celebration specials, whether we're talking about the signing up with Stampin' Up! Special or the gifts that you can earn for free, you can do that at my website at heathersides.stampinup.net. Look at that, isn't that cute? If you have any questions, concerns, suggestions, anything like that, you're welcome to contact me at stamphappenings@gmail.com, or you can send me a private message here on Facebook. Either of those works. I check them all regularly. If you place an order on my website and your order's under $150, it helps me out a lot. If you could please use this host code. That's how I'm able to continue to provide these videos for free and prizes and all that good thing. But if your order's over $150, don't use the host code because you'll have some extra free gifts coming to you in addition to the Celebration gifts. And I want to make sure that you are the one who receives those. So don't use the code if your order is over $150. Let's go ahead and clean up our mess so we can do a quick recap of everything that we made tonight. Putting stuff away, throwing away garbage. And there was your evening musical interlude. I'll leave those right there. Okay, so putting some stuff away. Let's take a look at our cards. So we have this cute little foxy guy that we created and got him all dressed and got his cute little matching umbrella and his hat and his jacket. We have this adorable owl that you can get for free with a $50 order. Let's put these where you can see them. And then we also have this beautiful card. I just love the simplicity of this card, where we cut out a portion of our die cut to fit that oval. So there we go. I hope you guys love those. Talina says the fox is her favorite. I'm kind of impartial to him too. I'm kind of liking playing dress-up dolls with these guys lately. So I hope you had a good time tonight. I sure did. And I hope to see you guys all back here next Wednesday. Same time, same place. 6 p.m. Pacific time on Wednesday night. Have a good night, everybody.